Good morning, guys. Today we're going to be heading to my work to make a plate to mount the AEM Infinity ECU, the M&W Pro DRAG4, and we're also taking the harness over there for both, just for mock-up. So yeah, we'll see you guys over there. Alright, so this is the stuff we're going to be using: AEM Infinity and the M&W Pro DRAG4. This is the board I'm going to be using to mount this stuff to. It is C-board, and there's the part number SEA1824BK, and this is the stuff I'm going to be using to basically wire the battery and stuff like that. So I'm using this 0 to 4 gauge multi-output breaker. It's a 100 amp circuit breaker, part number SGP901001, and then this is the distribution block we're going to be using, probably putting it right here. So I'm going to come in with the 0 gauge wire, do 250 amp fuses, and then go out of here into the fuse box, and then out of here to either the alternator or the starter. And then part number for that is SHD820, and these are the 50 amp fuses we're going to be using. Three pieces in this. The part number is SPF5850, so that's the stuff we'll be using to wire the battery, like I said. We're going to get this stuff mounted to this C-board, cut it down, make it a little smaller, mount it in the footwell of the car. And then what I want to do is put some stilts in the corners to raise up the piece of plexiglass that we're going to put over the top. And that way everything is still visible and serviceable when we take the bolts out. And the plexiglass is to protect the stuff from getting stepped on for people being in the car and stuff like that, while still being able to see how nice this stuff is. So we're gonna get to doing that. We're gonna cut this right of the edges, countersink the holes and stuff, so everything looks really nice. And then we'll go ahead and make that piece of plexiglass that goes over the top. So yeah, let's get to work on that. So the M&W Pro DRAG4 comes with these 4 little stilts that you got to mount it with. So we're going to take these, drill a hole in the C-board, drill and tap it the same size, and then basically just screw them into the board, and then we'll be able to mount that. The Infinity ECU, we are just going to drill and tap the holes as well, and then just bolt that straight to the board. And then same thing with the power distribution block, which is going to go right there. This is kind of the configuration that it's going to go in. That way this harness can kind of come up above here like that. This one just comes out the end, and then this one will have a 0 gauge going into here, and a couple 4 gauge wires coming out of here going to whatever else it's got to go to. So this board's probably going to be pretty small. I'll probably maybe cut it right with the top of the Infinity right here, and then just cut this right here. So let's get to doing that and rounding the edges over on this so it's nice, and then we'll figure out how tall of stilts we got to make to put the piece of plexiglass on the top. I just went through and got all of these holes threaded. Let's see how nice these thread into the board here. Super nice. We're gonna hit the edges of this. What is this? Half inch C-board with this 1/4 inch roundover bit. HDPE with this 1/4 inch roundover bit. We're gonna use it on this test piece right here to see how it's gonna look, and then if it looks good, we'll go ahead and hit our original piece with it. Okay, just went to Home Depot and got some stuff. We got this round tube that we're going to use to space out the plexiglass, something like that, 3.5 inches. But it's not threaded or anything, so we got these threaded inserts we're going to put in there, and then countersink the holes in the plexiglass and in the HDPE, and use these screws to bolt it all together. We're gonna go like this, and then the piece of plexi will go on top. We'll drill through here and bolt these through the top and the bottom, and then you'll have a window to see the electronics, and they'll be protected from people's feet. We couldn't find any of these that were already threaded, so we made our own, and it worked out pretty good. Alright, so we went ahead and tested this test piece right here. Countersunk that hole. These are the bolts we're going to be using to hold that stuff, so it goes in there nice and flat. We're doing that. We even tried it on this piece of acrylic right here to make sure that we could get that done. Just goes in there like that. So something like that. It's going to look real nice. And then this bottom piece, or the top piece that's going to be plexiglass, is actually going to extend probably 3 or 4 inches down, so it sits against the floor, so you'll basically have like a place to rest your feet if you wanted to put your feet there. But then everything will be protected, and it'll look nice as well. So let's get to cutting the piece of plexi that we need, and countersinking the holes in this and in the plexi. Then we can get everything bolted up and see what it looks like. All these holes drilled and countersunk in the bottom of this. Got these bolted on. Got the holes drilled in the acrylic and countersunk. I'm just going to pull off the protective paper, and then we can bolt everything on here and check out what it looks like. I think it's going to look pretty badass. Looks professional. And then we also extended this. What do you think? Like, what is that? Like 4 or 5 inches? Yeah, 4 or 5 inches, so it comes down and all the way down to the floor of the car. So Alright, so here is the finished product. It's kind of hard to see this through the... It's like really clean, so it's really hard to see. But yeah, that pretty much goes all the way down to the floor like that. And then everything is protected from your feet. And yeah, that came out really awesome. I'm gonna have to keep this plate clean, but yeah, everything looks freaking great. The only thing that'll be coming into here is one big aught gauge wire into there, a couple 4 gauges out, and then the harness for the ignition. So it came out really nice. Gonna have to make another one of those. Probably gonna put a boost by gear sticker down here, or maybe etch it. Okay, so these are the parts I'm going to be using. I got some 0 gauge wire here from Stinger. It's a really nice OFC cable that we use in all the audio stuff that we do, and I've been using these on batteries for a long time, so I'm going to use 0 gauge on that. I got the ring terminals for those, and then for a fuse slash circuit breaker, like I mentioned previously, we're going to be using this 100 amp circuit breaker for that, you know, to keep everything protected just in case something goes wrong. And then for the starter, I'm going to be using true 2 gauge wire, and I have all the terminals and stuff for that. And then I got a bunch of 4 gauge silver wire to make some grounds for the car. I'll probably be doing like 3 or 4 grounds as well. So I got these same ring terminals fit on this wire. So I'm going to be pulling this fender off over here because this is where the battery is and where everything's going to go. And I don't have a battery just yet, so I'm kind of just going to mock up the cable over here. But as far as all the other things go, like the starter and the alternator, I can run those inside the car and run the power wire inside the car as well. So for some grounds, probably doing one off the trans, like factory. One most likely off of the block to the car, and then one either off of the head, probably back here on this 14mm bolt to the body. And then I usually like to do one off of the intake manifold as well. If there's a spot for that, I'll go ahead and do that one too. But yeah, we'll be getting a little bit of wiring done on this thing today, and see what we can get into next. Alright, so I'm going to run this 0 gauge to the battery right here. And Alex is always dancing in the video, so I'm going to have to put him in there. But I'm just going to leave it long because I don't know if the positive is going to be on the top or on the bottom right now. We have enough length to go inside the car. So, and then I just put these inserts in the body right here just to hold up this 0 gauge wire out here on the outside. And then right here I'm going to put this 100 amp breaker and just bolt it up right there. So if it ever trips or anything, you can always just reset it right here with this button. It's actually really nice, instead of having to replace a fuse every time. And yeah, so I used there's actually a factory hole right here in the body that you can use to go inside the car, and I just put a plastic grommet in there to keep the car from slicing up the wire. But I'm gonna get all this mounted up, and then I'll probably start on this really bad headlight wiring that we got here, clean all this up. I'm gonna run that inside the frame rail right here and loom it and tape the whole thing so it's protected from anything that's in there. And that'll pretty much do it for this side. Do the same thing on the other side. And yeah, I guess whatever else we got to do. So let's get to doing that. got all this zero gauge mounted up, I gotta fix all of this stuff that somebody did for the headlights, turn signal, and the side marker. So I'm gonna do that next. Guys, excuse the mess. Here's a little overview of kind of what I did. So first I made the big power wire for the battery. So this is all zero gauge wire right here. Got it all loomed up and taped. Goes down here, bolts to the car right here with 10 mil bolts, and then goes to the breaker right here. And then it goes, got some heat shrink on there and some more loom and some more tape, and then I got it going through the body right here. And then all the headlight wiring goes through the inside of the frame rail right here. So it comes out of the car, goes into here. I use the factory grommet on the car right here to bring out all the wiring, just to make sure it doesn't get cut up and there's no air, you know, going inside the car right there. And then this loom harness right here is the grounds, so all the grounds for all the headlight wiring and some other stuff that's inside the car. Yeah, so it comes out right here. This is the plug for the turn signals and stuff that are right here. The headlight plug goes through here behind the headlight and kind of comes out, you know, in this area right here. We're going to be doing some LED headlights, so kind of want to have the plug that's make sure it's a little long so we can, you know, plug it into the LED headlight right there. And then this is the fan plug. It's going to kind of come over. I'm going to get a zip tie to the fan right here. Going to come over the boost pipe here and here to the front, so it'll be right here. So, and then this is the plug for that, so that'll plug into that right there. I'll probably put some sort of clamp or something to hold it right there. And yeah, so that's all of the wiring for this side. Everything came out really clean. It's looking really good. So now I'm going to move on to building the grounds for the engine, trans, and the block, and also the ground for main ground for the battery too over here. So the power for the starter is actually going to come straight off of the battery, since it's just a big, you know, big heavy gauge 12 volt wire. So I'm going to use 2 gauge for that. So same thing, I'll leave some length. I'm probably going to run it maybe around the front here and across to the starter, since the starter's right here, or it would be a little cleaner, I think, if I ran it down the trans right here underneath the frame rail, and then, you know, kind of pull it up through here and like fasten it to like this hole right here. I think that would probably be the cleanest. And then I could also do the trans ground off of the trans right here to the bottom of the frame rail right here. There's a couple 14mm bolts that I can use. So yeah, I'll be doing that next, and then we can move on to doing the inside of the car. Alright guys, just got all of the grounds done for the engine. We have 2 over here, one on the cylinder head right here, and then one on the block, 110mm and 114, and then they both go down to the frame rail down here right there. So we got those 2, And then we got the one off the trans right here. That also goes to the same bolt on this side. And that one is hooked together with the main battery ground, which is right here. This one's made out of 2 gauge. And that one also bolts to the bottom of the frame right there. And then we got the starter power, which is 2 gauge as well. That comes off of here, goes around, down, and then back around this way. And then it bolts to the car here, 10 mil bolt with the bracket, also right here. And then it goes over the top of the battery box to the power. So we'll have these 2 big guys as our main power and our starter, and then big ground over here. So that's pretty much it on the outside of the car as far as all the grounds and everything goes, and the main power wire and stuff. So now I'm going to move inside and hook up the main power wire to the main fuse block, and then from there I'm going to run a power wire to the top of the alternator, and then one to the fuse box, and that's it. That's everything that we need to power up. Alright guys, got all this all mounted up and all the wires ran. Okay, so the big 0 gauge wire that comes from the battery comes in through the side of the car here, comes down into this fuse block, and that's 0 gauge like I said. And then there's 2 50 amp fuses in this. These are replaceable, so you can put bigger or smaller fuses. So this has 2 50 amp fuses in it. This bottom one right here goes to the alternator. This is a 4 gauge wire that goes over across through the firewall right there, through a grommet in that existing hole that I found earlier today. And then this 50 amp fuse runs the factory fuse box. This is 8 gauge wire, comes out, goes around, up and into the fuse box. I have another 8 gauge wire coming off of the fuse box, which is this one you see right here, that goes across the dash. It's going to go over there by the other fuse box under the dash, and that's going to be the big fuel pump wire that's going to power the relay for the ProTuner 750. So I just ran that over there for now. Got the plate mounted to the floor with some 10mm bolts. And pretty much all I have to do is run the harness out from the Infinity in the engine bay. I'm just gonna order that bracket for the firewall so I can make that look clean. But yeah, that's pretty much all this stuff. That's pretty much how it's gonna look, just with the, you know, obviously with the cover over it. So that power cable comes out right here, right by the shifter cables, and goes across to the top of the alternator right there, so you can see that. And yeah, that's pretty much all the wiring that I wanted to get done this time around. There's a couple other things that I got wired, like I said, like the fuel pump. And that's pretty much it. I think we're probably going to be doing a rear wheel speed sensor as well, so we'll probably get the harness for that and run that up into the car. But as of now, that's all the wiring for now. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in to the Boost by Gear YouTube channel. We'll see you guys next time. See ya.